But welcome, I want to say welcome everybody. We're excited. This is welcome to the 2024 Virtual SIPP Conference. I'm Dave Waddington. I'm the Chief of the Social, Economic, and Housing Statistics Division. This is our second virtual SIPP conference, and we have a slightly different focus this year, which you'll hear about later on. We're happy to have you here with us today, and I'm delighted to open the conference and introduce Dr. Victoria. Goes by Tori Velkoff, who will be giving some opening comments. Dr. Velkoff is the Census Bureau's Associate Director for Demographic Programs and the Chief Demographer. She has worked at the Census Bureau for over 30 years and serving in several key leadership positions. In her current role as the Demographic Director, leading the Demographic Directorate, she is responsible for providing relevant, accurate information on the size, distribution, and characteristics of the nation's population, housing, income, poverty, and economic well-being. And in that role, she has provided guidance and substantial support for the SIPP program. During her time at Census, Tori led several divisions core to the mission of the Census Bureau, including the American Community Survey Office, where she helped lead effort to reduce the burden while maintaining the quality in the ACS. Prior to that, she was in the position I hold now in the Social, Economic, and Housing Statistics Division, where she oversaw some major transitions in the CPS Annual Social and Economic Supplement. And she also led the Population Division and is an internationally recognized subject matter expert and demographer. Tori has her PhD in Sociology and Demography from Princeton University, and from the University of Michigan has a bachelor's degree in economics and a master's in Russian and Eastern European studies. Tori has been and continues to be a strong proponent of the SIPP program, and we truly appreciate that and are happy to have her here to give some opening remarks for our second SIPP conference. So with that, Tori, I'll turn it over to you, and thank you for being here with us today.
Well, thank you, Dave, for that nice introduction. I haven't been called Dr. Velkoff in a while, but I do enjoy it. I want to say good morning to everyone and welcome you to the second annual SIPP conference. We're really excited about today, and we're looking forward to all the presentations and discussions. Note that there's a change in format from last year's research conference. Today, we will hear from other government agencies and organizations on their uses of SIPP. We all know that SIPP is unique, it's longitudinal, it focuses on the dynamics of individuals and households, and it's a census-sponsored survey, and that is helpful to us. SIPP really is an omnibus survey. It's not focused on a single measure, but designed to answer the hard economic and programmatic question. SIPP offers broad support to other federal agencies so they can do evaluations of eligibility and take up for programs. And you'll see some of this in the presentations today. While SIPP does focus on the low income population, it is representative of the full national population. In the afternoon, you will also hear about the new SIPP design. Household surveys, as you know, are at a critical stage in many different dimensions. Response rates are dropping across the board for all of our household surveys, and that's because people are less willing to participate in our surveys and provide their information to us. Survey costs are also going up. Part of that is because it's so hard to get responses. So the field costs are going up. And we're facing relatively flat budgets. So we really do have to modernize, not just SIPP, but all of our household surveys. The SIPP modernization is part of an agency-wide effort to modernize surveys as we move forward. The Census Bureau itself is going through a transformation. We have what we are calling the business ecosystem, which is an enterprise solution for questionnaire design, data collection, data storage, data analysis, and data dissemination. And we are building these new systems for all of our surveys, and that's quite a big lift. So as we are redesigning SIPP, we will also be moving SIPP into this new business ecosystem. You can imagine that's a lot of moving parts, modernizing SIPP and moving to these new systems. It will be an interesting and challenging transition, but I'm sure we're up to the task. I want to mention some of the priorities for the new SIPP redesign, which you will hear about later today. First is the integration of administrative records. We've always used administrative records in the SIPP, well, not always, but we've used administrative records in the SIPP and we want to increase the use of administrative records. We're also taking a statistical product first perspective. We're asking ourselves, what questions do we want to be able to answer? And then designing what we need to measure to answer those questions. And we're doing this across the Census Bureau. It's not just a SIPP thing. And as we all know, SIPP has been a platform for innovation at the Census Bureau. It has been the first survey to do many things, and SIPP has been leading innovation at the Census Bureau, and I think that it will continue to do so. You're also going to learn more about what is planned as we move SIPP into a multi-mode framework. To that end, we are developing and testing an internet response mode, and you're going to hear all about that later today. And with that, I want to welcome you once again to this conference, and I'm going to hand it over to Jason Fields. Thank you.
Hi, and welcome to everyone. We're really excited to have you all here. This is our second annual conference. Last year we had a discussion with a lot of SIPP data users, and we're able to share some research. This year we're going to be showcasing government agencies and other organizations' use of SIPP. And I'm going to give you just a quick introduction here, and then we'll kick it off with our first presenter. So just so everyone has as a background, the primary goals of SIPP are and continue to be to provide information about income and economic resources for people, families, focusing on eligibility for government programs and take-up and use of government assistance programs. The SIPP really provides the only focused data source that looks at income flows, program participation for both short-run dynamics and also over extended periods of time. This is all still true. This was true when these reports were written and continue to be true today. The mission of the survey is to provide annual and subannual dynamics, focus on movement in and out of government transfer programs, and then importantly, to provide the family social context of individuals and households and the interactions across these domains. We envision SIPP to be a premier data source and to, of course, make it a household name for all of the folks that are interested in using a highly detailed household survey, which lets you really understand the big picture for folks and in the way that their household economic situations work. We expect that SIPP is to be used in supporting areas in economics, demographics, and sociology, and especially in the policy research communities, which is one of the focuses here for this conference. Our design really developed out of the limitations of the current population survey, and to complement those. The CPS ASEC is an annual survey, and it focuses on annual recall. Its primary focus is on the status at the time of interview. SIPP was originally designed to have a shorter recall period with staggered 4-month interviews, overlapping design, and focused on dynamics and the interrelationship of topics with the components of income and program assistance. It was designed to have one of the most detailed and comprehensive program participation portfolios of the major national representative surveys. It is a survey that is sampled from the master address file. It is representative of the civilian non-institutionalized household population. We have a high poverty strata oversample. It includes data from our respondents located in the 50 states and the District of Columbia, and it is a Title 13 survey. The SIPP interviews adults 15 and over are interviewed in wave 1, and then we follow those household members as they move. Proxy interviews are accepted. We definitely collect proxy interviews for children under 15 and often for other household members. As I said, SIPP is focused around monthly dynamics, and to make that work, we do what in longitudinal surveys is called a longitudinal panel. So these panels have varied in length, but one thing that is common across all of these panels is the collection of monthly detailed data. So SIPP's first data collection began in 1984, or it really began in 1983, and focused on very short panels, 2.5 years, and those were designed in an overlapping way. In 1996, we shifted to CAPI mode, and also shifted to a longer panel that went end to end. That continued through 2008, where we actually extended the 2008 panel for a 5th year to provide an important data overlap year with the next design that we transitioned into, which is our current design. The current design is an event history calendar-based instrument, which collects data with monthly detail over a 4-year panel, and it does so with annual interviews. There have been a number of budget and environmental issues that have the social and economic environment, which have caused us to have some significant issues in the more recent ways. The federal government furlough particularly impacted the 2019 startup, and so that was discontinued after the first wave. From the characteristic from 2020 to now is that we had switched to an overlapping design with 2018, but the collection costs continue to be an issue. We're focused on bringing SIPP into its next evolution, and you'll hear more about that later today. But one of the characteristics is the content that has remained fundamentally stable. So SIPP has key estimates that include labor force dynamics and health insurance coverage, program assistance from programs like TANF, WIC, the Women, Infants, and Children Nutrition Program, the SNAP Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SSI, and General Assistance. It also brings in detailed information on earned income and unearned income and poverty status across the course of the panel. As part of the economic picture of the household, wealth and assets are collected in fairly good detail, as well as fairly comprehensive living arrangements and family dynamics. Just a couple of examples of how SIPP data have been used recently by Census Bureau analysts and the report products that they put out. We have composition of wealth by asset type, jobs worked from home as a time trend, as well as in a lot more detail in the linked reports. The distribution of the holdings and sources of income by income percentile or decile. And then, as I said, this is our second virtual conference. The first virtual conference last year has information on some of the latest research, invited papers and discussions, and those are available online. We also presented a workshop at last year's Population Association of America meetings, and the information there provides a good introduction and background for SIPP, as well as more detailed information on SIPP's content, file structure, data availability, and includes demonstrations on how to import and use SIPP data. We've also been very happy to have been able to partner with the National Academies. The National Academies Committee on National Statistics has been a partner with SIPP and been involved in SIPP since very early. We've had 4 different National Academies panels, and those are linked here. But rather than hear about it from me, we're going to move on to Brad Cheney. So let me introduce Brad here.